What's going on? Jake here with Uncommon EDC, and in this video I'm responding to an open tag, and the tag is to show your entire Modern Slipjoint collection. And so I was tagged by Randy's WSG, aka Randy's Wasteland Survival Guide. Excellent channel, definitely check out his video as well as some of his other videos, you won't be disappointed. And he was tagged, I believe, by the originator of the open tag, Slipjoint Sawyer, which is a new channel to me. The first video I watched was this open tag, but definitely subscribed while I was there and going to check out more of his videos as well. But I will link to both of their videos in the description as well as tag their channels, show them some love, check them out. They're doing some interesting stuff and they're obviously the original idea behind this open tag. So check out those videos. And even without that, they have a very different take. So I've watched both their videos and the knives they show are very different from the ones I'm gonna show. So if you're just looking for modern slip joints between the three of our videos, there's a pretty wide variety and very different kind of tastes amongst all three videos, and so you're sure to find something you like. But with that being said, I'm going to stick to modern slip joints, which is what the tag was. But in Slipjoint Sawyer's video, he mentioned being able to do modern lockbacks or maybe even some fixed blades, and Randy did do some lockbacks as well because he didn't have a ton of modern slip joints. And so I had 7 modern slip joints, which felt like it was going to be the right length video. I don't want it to be extremely long. In comparison to Randy's video, I'm sure it will be because I don't think I've ever made a video that short. I just talk a lot more, I guess. I don't know. But I'm sure it won't be as succinct as Randy's. I'll try and get through it somewhat quickly though. But with that said, I'm not going to do the lockbacks in this video. May do them in a separate video. I have a similar number of those as I did modern slip joints, and it just felt like it would get too long. So starting out, I'm going to start with the knives that kind of strayed the furthest away from traditional slip joints and then work my way to the end where I'm basically looking at a traditional slip joint with modern materials. And so with that said, I'm going to start in the category double detent slip joints, and I have 2 of these, first being the Kaiser Mini Bay, and you can tell almost off the bat that there's not a lot of similarities between a traditional slip joint and this one. Has modern materials, modern construction, a modern deployment method, pocket clip. There's just not a lot of similarities. This is the Mexican Blanket G10. This version I think might be sold out nowadays, but you can get the original version and the really cool knife. Now, when you see this one deployed, it's also really not going to feel anything like a slip joint. And so this is a double detent, super fidgety knife. You can see just kind of flies open and closed, and I actually bit myself right before filming this video with this one while I was making the notes. I was just mindlessly fidgeting. If you put this in the wrong place, it's going to get the meat of your hand, but as long as you hold it in the right place, you should be good to go. So really fun knife, but not a lot of similarities to a traditional slip joint. And so the next one, that's kind of going to be the same thing because it's a double detent with the same deployment method. This is the Civivi Kiwi or Kiwi. I never know how to pronounce this, but they have a bigger version. This has a flipper tab as well. Not quite as fidgety, but all the same features, modern construction materials, deployment, and pocket clip as that Kaiser Mini Bay. Trying to be a little bit faster here, so sorry if that came off a little bit auctioneer, but you can see it will flip open, nice rapid deployment, but I can't really push it closed like I can that Mini Bay. It's more of a slow roll, and you also have to be more intentional with your flip if you want to get a full deployment. And so not quite as fidgety as that Mini Bay, but similar size and very similar in all other aspects. Cool knife as well. I think this might be the only one on the table today that I haven't done a video on, so I do need to get to that at some point because I've had this knife for a while. It just kind of got eclipsed by this Mini Bay, which I like a little bit more for such a similar knife. Now, next up, the category I'm just going to call Panchenko. One of my favorite knife designers, Serge Panchenko. Have a few of his slip joints. I wish I had more. Honestly, if I had all of his knives, I'd probably wish I had more. Just a really cool designer and have a few of his slip joints. So gonna start with the Spyderco Panchenko Dog Tag Gen 4. And so obviously the form factor of a dog tag, no lock on it though, feels a little bit more like a traditional slip joint than the other two, although you can see the construction, how it functions is very different from a traditional slip joint. But the fact that the easiest way to deploy this is with a 2-hand opening makes it feel a little bit more traditional. And that does have that Spidey hole, but for me at least, I'm not able to get the purchase to even attempt to flick on this without just tossing it across the room. And so I do 2-hand deploy this. It's nice, smooth operation, no walk and talk or pull or anything like that to speak of. It's basically a double detent, a detent on the close and a detent on the open as well, but not quite as fidgety as the other two, so it does feel a little bit more traditional, but still cool knife from them. This is the priciest one we've seen so far, about the price of the other two, honestly. I think this is around 85 bucks, and so not a cheap knife, but a fun one, and just kind of an interesting form factor from one of my favorite designers, which is why I picked it up. Have a dog hair on there. But the next one gets even closer to that traditional slip joint, although still all of the same things we talked about in terms of the modern functionality. This is the Panchenko Bean Gen 2. Wish I had the titanium version of this. Have always kicked myself for picking up only the G10, but one of my favorite fifth pocket carry knives of all time. Now it does have a thumb hole deployment, also going to be kind of a two-hand deployment. It is hard to do that. It's possible, but a little bit harder to do one-handed, and so two-handed is where it's at, super smooth. Again, no half stop or anything. We haven't seen anything like that yet. And this is the last one where it doesn't really feel like a traditional slip joint. Everything else on the list is going to. But another cool knife. This one was pretty cheap when it was available. Don't know that it's really available anymore, but not gonna break the bank. Now, the next one is the first one that's really feeling like a traditional slip joint, although modern construction. This is the Surge Knife Co., which is his production line. Blade HQ exclusive for this entire knife, although there was a bunch of different versions of it. And it's just called the Keychain Slip Joint. No creative name or anything like that, but you can see it has a keychain attachment at the end, held together by screws, G10. But it's the first one that has a spring, has a half stop, and really feels like a traditional slip joint. Now, no nail nick or anything, so just a pinch grip, but has a nice pull to it, nice half stop, nice full stop, and just this tiny cleaver style blade. Really, really fun one. Love this. Wish I would have gotten more colors of it when it was available, but first one that really has a walk and talk and any sort of normal action for a slip joint. And so really cool knife. These were also relatively cheap when they were around, I think around 30 or 40 bucks, so nothing too crazy. But these next two are honestly traditional slip joints with modern materials and construction. The first one being the Tactile Knife Co. Bear. And this one in particular is super modern with its Ultim scales, and also going to be the priciest one on the list so far. The more than double the price of that Spyderco dog tag version. And so this one was, I believe, $200. Ultim on the scales, so they're nice and see-through, just kind of a cool thing. Serialized 93 out of 100, Magna Cut blade on there. It does have these little nail pulls, not really nail nicks. You can't get your nail in there and get any sort of purchase, I guess a little bit, but I'm more doing a pinch grip on these, but it has a really traditional feel to it. Still has some pins on the inside, but held together with screws so you can disassemble it, and a nice action on it. Again, first one that's really a true kind of slip joint, but really great knife. I don't love the Ultim on this, honestly. I love the look of it, but I feel like it would be better, and I would love to pick up a titanium version of this. Now, I do like the look of it. I'm going to hold on to this, but would just like to add a titanium version to the collection eventually once I get through some of the more traditional slip joints. Now, this last one is one of my favorite knives, just in general, not slip joints, just favorite knives in general recently, and this is the notorious EDC Kingpin. So I fifth pocket carry this quite a bit as a secondary knife, and it fits nicely in the fifth pocket inside of its slip, so don't have to take it out of there and have it banging around with my flashlight or other small things that I'll also carry in that fifth pocket. And really just love this knife. I've done a video on this one, and I think at the time I said it was like a nice nod to traditional knives, and honestly this is just a traditional knife, really well done with premium materials. And so you do still have that screw construction and modern materials with the titanium bolster, DLC coated. I have black micarta inlays. There was a raw titanium version, which again I would love to pick up, but in this case not because I don't like this material, just because I want a second one. But Bowler M390 on that blade, really nice action on this one as well. Just a slick design, feels great, operates great, and one of my favorite knives, like I said, overall, and really great action on this one. And just love the way this one turned out. So that's all of the knives in my Modern Slipjoint collection. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. If there's anything I can add. I know there's going to be some Jack Wolfs here in the future, but really trying to get through a little bit more traditional just to kind of build my palette and understand more of what I like in that traditional slip joint arena. But again, let me know what you think in the comments. If you have a modern slip joint collection, feel free to join in on the tag. Anyone, I'm not going to tag anyone because some people collect modern slip joints, some don't. So if you have one and want to make a video, jump in, tag Slipjoint Sawyer, tag Randy's WSG, and would love to check out your collection. If I see it, I'll add it to the description and link people to your video as well. But thanks so much for watching. Appreciate Randy and Slipjoint Sawyer for coming up with the concept for this video and tagging me in it, and definitely check them out. But thanks again for watching. Take care.